The stars looked different today. Captain Lee Tae-min stood on the bridge of his ship, watching the massive alien fleet appear on their screens. The ships were huge, dark, and shaped like giant spears pointing at Earth. There were so many of them that they blocked out the light from distant stars. "Sir, we're getting a message," said Lieutenant Kim Do-hyun from his station. His voice was steady, but Lee could see his hands shaking slightly. "Put it on screen," Lee ordered. The main screen flickered, and suddenly they were looking at an alien face. The creature was tall and gray with 4 eyes arranged in a square pattern. Its mouth was a thin line that barely moved when it spoke. Behind it, Lee could see hundreds of other aliens working at control panels. "I am General Vorthak of the Catherian Empire," the alien said. Its voice was cold and mechanical. "You will surrender your worlds to us. We have conquered 47 star systems. Your species is number 48. Commander Park Ji-won stepped forward. She was a small woman, but her voice was strong. "And if we refuse?" General Vorthak's 4 eyes blinked in sequence. "Look at your sensors. Count our ships. We have 1 million soldiers ready to fight. Your entire species has perhaps 10 million people across all your worlds. We outnumber your military forces 100 to 1. Lee studied the alien fleet on his screen. The ships moved in perfect formations like a giant machine. Every ship was exactly the same distance from the others. Every movement was planned and precise. "You have 24 of your hours to surrender," General Vorthak continued. "After that, we will take your worlds by force. Your people can live as slaves or they can die as enemies. Choose wisely." Lee stepped closer to the screen. "General, before we answer, I have a question. You said you have 1 million soldiers?" "Correct. 1 million of our finest warriors." Lee smiled. It wasn't a happy smile. "Good. I have 1 million objectives." General Vorthak's eyes narrowed. "What does this mean?" "You'll find out," Lee said. Kim cut the signal. The screen went black. The bridge was quiet for a moment. Then everyone started talking at once. "Sir, what did you mean?" asked Dr. Yoon Sang-woo. He was the ship's science officer, a thin man who always asked good questions. Lee turned to face his crew. "Park, get me connected to every human ship, station, and colony. I want to talk to everyone." "Yes, sir," Park said, her fingers flying over her controls. "Do-hyun, I want you to study their communications. How do they talk to each other? How do they give orders?" "Already on it, sir," Kim replied. Sang-woo analyzed their fleet. "I want to know how they think, how they fight, everything." Dr. Yoon nodded and bent over his instruments. Lee walked to the center of the bridge. Outside the windows, he could see Earth in the distance. It looked so small and blue and peaceful. Hard to believe that 1 million alien soldiers wanted to destroy it. "Sir," Park said, "I have connections to all human forces. You're broadcasting to every ship captain, every station commander, every planetary defense chief." "Good." Lee took a deep breath. "This would either save humanity or doom them all. Attention, all human forces. This is Captain Lee Tae-min. You've all seen the alien fleet. They have 1 million soldiers, and they think that means they've already won." He paused, looking out at Earth again. "They're wrong. They think like a machine. They see war as numbers. Big army beats small army. More ships beat fewer ships. Simple." On his screen, Lee could see faces from across human space. Ship captains, soldiers, civilians who had joined the defense forces. All of them were listening. "But we don't think like machines," Lee continued. "We think like humans. And humans are creative. They want us to fight their war their way. Instead, we're going to fight our war our way." Sergeant Choi Hye-jin appeared on one of the smaller screens. She was on a military base on Mars, and Lee could see her soldiers behind her. "What are your orders, sir?" "That's the beauty of it, Sergeant. I'm not giving you orders. I'm giving you an objective. Your objective is to protect Mars and its people. How you do that is up to you." "I don't understand," said Commander Ryu Minho from a space station near Jupiter. "The aliens have 1 million soldiers," Lee explained. "All of them follow the same orders. All of them think the same way. But we have something better. We have 1 million objectives." He gestured to the screens showing human forces across the solar system. Every ship, every station, every planet, every soldier. Each one of you is an objective. Not just a target to defend, but a goal to achieve. The aliens think they're fighting one enemy with one plan. They're wrong. They're fighting 1 million enemies with 1 million plans. Dr. Yoon looked up from his instruments. "Sir, I'm seeing something interesting. Their ships are all identical. Same size, same weapons, same everything." "Of course they are," Lee said. "That's how they think.
One size fits all.
On plan for everything. He turned back to the screens. How many different types of ships do we have, Park? Park checked her computer. Cargo ships, passenger ships, mining ships, research vessels, military ships, patrol boats, space tugs, orbital platforms. Hundreds of different designs. Exactly. They see weakness. I see strength. Lee's voice got stronger. Every human out there, listen carefully. You know your people, your ship, your world better than anyone. You know what you can do, what you're good at. The aliens are going to try to fight us like we're them. We're going to show them what humans can do. On his screen, Lee could see nods and smiles starting to appear. Hiya, Jin. Your Marines know how to fight in tunnels and buildings. Do that. Minho, your station has the best repair facilities in the system. Use that. Captain Nam Sora, he said, addressing a woman on a fast scout ship. You know every asteroid and gas cloud in this system. Use that knowledge. But sir, said Lieutenant Kim from behind him, how do we coordinate?
How do we work together?
We don't coordinate like they do, Lee said. We communicate. We share information. We help each other, but each unit fights its own fight, its own way. He looked directly into the camera. In 24 hours, General Vorthak expects us to either surrender or meet his fleet in a big space battle. We're going to do neither. We're going to do something his computer brain can't understand. We're going to be human. The alien fleet hung in space like a dark cloud. On their command ship, General Vorthak was probably planning his attack. He was thinking about formations and numbers and battle plans. Lee smiled again. This time it was a real smile. General Vorthak has 1 million soldiers. Good for him. We have 1 million objectives. Let's show him what that means. 23 hours had passed. General Vorthak stood in his command center, surrounded by screens showing his perfect fleet. Every ship was in its correct position. Every soldier knew exactly what to do. In 1 hour, the humans would surrender or die. Status report, he ordered. All forces ready, General, said Admiral Nexus. Our scouts report that human ships are moving, but we cannot determine their battle formation. Vorthak's 4 eyes focused on the tactical display. The human ships were scattered across their solar system like seeds thrown by the wind. Some were near their planets, others hiding behind asteroids, still others moving in random patterns that made no sense. Foolish, Vorthak said. They have divided their forces. We will destroy them piece by piece. On Earth, Captain Lee watched the countdown clock. 58 minutes until the deadline. Around him, his bridge crew worked quietly. Everyone knew their job. Sir, Commander Park said, all units report ready. Define ready, Lee said with a slight smile. Park checked her list. Sergeant Choi's Marines have disappeared into the underground cities on Mars. They say if the aliens want the planet, they'll have to dig for it. Captain Nam's scout ships are playing hide-and-seek in the asteroid belt. The mining crews have turned their equipment into weapons. The research stations are analyzing alien technology from their broadcasts. What about the cargo ships? Captain Bei Sunho says his freighter crews are the best smugglers in the galaxy. They're planning to smuggle supplies to anyone who needs them right under the aliens' noses. Lee nodded. And the civilians? They're not evacuating, Park said. They're volunteering. Families are turning their homes into safe houses. Children are learning to send coded messages. Everyone wants to help. This was what the aliens didn't understand. They saw humans as soldiers and civilians, fighters and non-fighters. But humans didn't work that way. When threatened, everyone became part of the defense. Time, Lee announced. The communication screen activated. General Vorthak appeared, his gray face showing no emotion. Your time is finished, Vorthak said. What is your answer? We decline your offer, Lee said politely. Then you have chosen death. Our forces will advance in formation. You will meet us in battle and you will lose. Actually, Lee said, we're not going to meet you in battle. Vorthak's eyes blinked in confusion. What? We're not going to line up our ships and fight your ships. We're not going to play your game by your rules. All species fight the same way, Vorthak said. Ships in formation, armies in ranks, battle plans and strategy. This is war. No, Lee said, that's your war. This is our war. Lee made a gesture and Lieutenant Kim cut the connection. Immediately, Kim activated a different channel. All units, Lee said. Operation Scattershot begins now. Across the solar system, humans began to move. Captain Nam Sora's scout ship was hiding inside a cloud of ice and rock near Jupiter. She watched as alien ships approached in their perfect formation. When they passed her hiding spot, she didn't attack. Instead, she followed them, noting their speed, their weapons, their communication patterns. Every few minutes, she transmitted this information to other human forces. "They're predictable," she reported. "Same speed, same distance between ships, same everything." On Mars, Sergeant Choi watched alien landing ships descend toward the main city. The aliens expected to find human soldiers waiting to fight them. Instead, they found empty streets. The real battle was already happening in the tunnels below the city, where Choi's Marines knew every passage and hiding place. "Let them take the surface," Choi told her troops. "We own everything else." In the asteroid belt, mining crews had been working for hours. But they weren't mining ore anymore. They were mining asteroids to create hiding places for ships and supply dumps. Captain O.J. Sung, who had spent 20 years hauling cargo through space, was now hauling weapons and food to wherever they were needed. "The aliens think in straight lines," he radioed to other freighter captains. "So we'll think in circles." Dr. Yoon worked frantically on his research ship, analyzing every signal from the alien fleet. He was learning their language, their technology, their weaknesses. "Their communications are encrypted," he reported to Lee. "But they use the same encryption for everything. If we break it once, we break it everywhere." This was the human advantage. Every person was doing something different, something creative, something the aliens hadn't planned for. The aliens had prepared for a war. The humans were fighting 1,000 different smaller wars. On the alien command ship, reports began flowing in. "General," Admiral Nexus said, "we have taken the surface of the human planet called Mars." "Excellent," Vorthak replied. "However, we cannot locate their army. Our soldiers report that the underground areas are filled with traps and ambushes. We control the surface, but the humans control everything else." Vorthak frowned. "Send more soldiers." "We have, General. But the tunnels are too small for our large forces. We can only send a few soldiers at a time, and the humans know the tunnels better than we do." Another report came in. "General, our patrol ships near Jupiter are reporting strange activity. They detect human ships, but when they move to attack, the humans disappear." "Impossible. Ships cannot simply disappear. They are hiding in asteroid fields and gas clouds, General. Our sensors cannot track them effectively in such environments." Vorthak's 4 eyes narrowed. This was not how war was supposed to work. Enemies were supposed to gather their forces and fight. They were supposed to defend their important places. They were supposed to follow the rules. "What are the humans defending?" he asked. Admiral Nexus checked his reports. "Everything, General, and nothing. They seem to be defending every planet, every station, every ship individually, but they are not concentrating their forces anywhere. Then we will attack everywhere at once." "General, if we attack everywhere, we cannot concentrate our forces either. Our advantage is our numbers, but only if we use them together." War Prime Zelos stepped forward. He was the largest Catherian on the ship, in charge of all ground forces. "General, my soldiers are trained to fight armies. But these humans, they fight like what? Like individuals. Each one is different. Each one uses different tactics. We defeat one group, but it teaches us nothing about the next group." This was exactly what Captain Lee had hoped for. The aliens were learning that having 1,000,000 soldiers wasn't helpful if you couldn't use them effectively. On his ship, Lee watched the reports coming in from across the solar system. Human forces were taking losses, but they were also learning. Every encounter with the aliens taught them something new. "Sir," Commander Park said, "Sergeant Choi reports that her Marines have captured some alien equipment. Dr. Yoon says he can analyze it." "Good. What about our supply lines?" "Captain O and the freighter crews are keeping everyone supplied. The aliens keep trying to intercept them, but the cargo ships know too many different routes." "And morale?" Park smiled. "Hi, sir. People like being able to fight back their own way instead of following someone else's plan." Lee nodded. The aliens had made a fundamental mistake. They thought that having more soldiers meant automatic victory. But they had never fought an enemy where every single person was both a soldier and a strategist, where every individual could adapt and create and surprise them. The battle was just beginning, but Lee could already see that the aliens were confused. They had prepared for one type of war, and the humans were giving them a completely different type of war. General Vorthak was about to learn that sometimes having 1,000,000 objectives was better than having 1,000,000 soldiers. 3 days into the war, General Vorthak was learning what frustration felt like. His massive fleet had won dozens of small battles, but somehow the war was slipping away from him. "Report," he demanded from Admiral Nexus. "We control 17 surface installations, 43 orbital platforms, and 6 minor outposts," Nexus said, reading from his datapad. "That sounds like victory." "Yes, General, but—" Nexus hesitated. "The humans are still fighting. When we take one position, they attack us from 3 others. When we send ships to defend those positions, they attack somewhere completely different." Vorthak stared at the tactical display. Red dots showed where his forces were fighting. There were hundreds of red dots scattered across the human solar system. His forces were everywhere, but they weren't winning. "How is this possible?" he asked. "We have more ships, more soldiers, more weapons." War Prime Zelos entered the command center. His usually perfect uniform was dirty and torn. "General, I have a report from the ground forces." "Speak." "We took the human city on Mars yesterday. Today we lost it again." "How did we lose an entire city?" "We didn't lose it in a battle, General. We lost it piece by piece. The humans retook the water plant while we were defending the power station. They captured the communications center while we were guarding the spaceport. By the time we realized what was happening, they controlled everything important and we only held empty buildings." This made no sense to Vorthak. Cities were taken by conquering them completely. You didn't take pieces of a city while losing other pieces. Send more soldiers to retake it. "I did, General. But while those soldiers were retaking Mars, the humans captured our supply depot on the moon. Now my Mars forces have no food or ammunition." Dr. Yoon worked in his laboratory, surrounded by captured alien equipment. He had been studying Catherian technology for 3 days, and what he found was both impressive and limiting. "Captain Lee," he called over the communication system. "I think I understand why they fight the way they do." Lee's voice came through the speakers. "Explain." "Their technology is incredibly advanced, but it's all connected. Every ship talks to every other ship. Every soldier's armor connects to a central command system. Their weapons, their shields, even their life support. Everything is networked together." "That sounds like an advantage." "It is, but it's also a weakness. They think as a group, because their technology makes them think as a group. Take away their communications and they become confused. They don't know how to act independently." Lee was quiet for a moment. "Can we disrupt their communications?" "I'm working on it." "But Captain, there's something else. I've been listening to their captured equipment, the individual soldiers. They're scared. Scared of us? Scared of thinking for themselves. Their whole society is built around following orders. When they can't contact their commanders, they don't know what to do." This gave Lee an idea. "Sangwoo, keep working on their communications. I have a plan." Meanwhile, Captain Nam Sora was having the time of her life. Her scout ship was designed for speed and stealth, and she was using both to drive the aliens crazy. She would appear near an alien patrol, just long enough for them to see her, then disappear into an asteroid field. The aliens would send ships to search for her, taking them away from other duties. While they searched empty space, she would appear somewhere else entirely. "This is like playing tag with children," she reported to her squadron. "They're so predictable." Captain Bei Sunho was running supplies to human forces throughout the system. His cargo ship wasn't fast or well-armed, but it was reliable, and he knew every shipping route in human space. "The trick," he told his crew, "is to think like smugglers, not like soldiers. We don't fight our way through. We sneak around." His ship had delivered food to the Marines on Mars, ammunition to the defense crews on Europa, and medical supplies to a research station that was pretending to be abandoned. The aliens kept trying to intercept his cargo runs, but Bay always found another route. "They guard the main shipping lanes," he explained to other freighter captains. "So we use the routes that only cargo haulers know about. The ones that go through asteroid fields and gas clouds where their big ships can't follow." Sergeant Choi was discovering that fighting in tunnels was very different from fighting in space. Her Marines had turned the underground cities on Mars into a maze of traps and ambushes. "The aliens are big," she told her troops. "But these tunnels were built for humans. They have to crawl through passages where we can run. They get lost in areas where we know every turn." She had divided her Marines into small teams. Each team knew their section of the tunnels perfectly. When aliens entered one area, the Marines would attack them, then disappear into side passages the aliens didn't know existed. "It's not about winning big battles," she explained. "It's about winning 100 small battles." Back on the alien command ship, the reports were getting worse. General, Admiral Nexus said, "We have a new problem. Our supply ships are being attacked. By human warships? No, General. By cargo ships." Vorthak's four eyes focused on Nexus. Cargo ships? The humans have weaponized their freight haulers. They're using them like pirates. They attack our supply convoys, steal what they need, and disappear before we can respond. Our convoy escorts should stop them. Our escorts are designed to fight warships, General. These cargo ships are small and fast. They hit us and run away before we can target them properly. War Prime Zelos added his own report. General, we're also having problems with human civilians. Civilians are not soldiers. They should not be fighting. That's what we thought, but these humans don't seem to understand the difference. We captured a communications station yesterday. It was defended by a family, parents and children working together. The children were running messages while the parents repaired equipment we had damaged. Impossible. Children cannot be soldiers. These children are not soldiers, General, but they are fighting anyway. They know their stations and ships better than our soldiers do. They hide in maintenance shafts and crawlways too small for us to follow. General Vorthak was beginning to understand that he was fighting something he had never encountered before. Every other species the Catherians had conquered fought like the Catherians fought. Armies against armies, ships against ships, clear battle lines and organized forces. But humans didn't fight like that. They fought like a swarm of insects, each one small and individually weak, but together creating chaos that his organized forces couldn't handle. "How many human soldiers have we killed?" he asked. "Approximately 8,000, General." "And how many of our soldiers have they killed?" 12,000, General. "We are losing more soldiers than they are?" "Yes, General. But that is not the worst part." "What is the worst part?" "We are winning every individual battle, but we are losing the war. Every time we win a fight, the humans learn something new about us. Every time they lose a fight, they try something different the next time." Captain Lee stood on his bridge watching the tactical display. Green dots showed human forces, red dots showed alien forces. The red dots were bigger and more numerous, but the green dots were moving in ways that confused the red dots. "Status report," he said. Commander Park consulted her screens. "The aliens control about 30% of our installations, but they're spending more resources guarding what they've taken than we spent building it in the first place." "Supplies?" "Captain Bay's freighter network is keeping everyone supplied. The aliens have destroyed some supply depots, but we have backups scattered throughout the system." "Morale?" "Higher than ever, sir. People like fighting a war where they can use their own skills and creativity instead of just following orders." Lee smiled. The aliens were learning that having superior numbers didn't guarantee victory when your enemy refused to fight the way you expected them to fight. But Lee knew this was just the beginning. Soon he would show General Vorthak what humans could really do when they worked together without being forced to think together. 1 week into the war, General Vorthak made a decision that would change everything. He was tired of fighting scattered human forces across their entire solar system. He wanted one decisive battle that would end this confusing war. "Gather all our forces," he ordered Admiral Nexus. "We will attack their home world directly. General, that will leave our conquered territories undefended. The humans will have to defend their home world. They cannot abandon their families and their government. Finally, we will have the large battle we need to win this war." Nexus looked uncertain. "Sir, the humans have not fought the way we expected so far." "Why would they start now?" "Because they will have no choice," Vorthak said. "Every species protects their home world above all else. The humans will gather their scattered forces to defend Earth, and we will destroy them all at once." On Earth, Captain Lee received the intelligence reports from Captain Nam's scout ships. The entire alien fleet was moving toward Earth, abandoning their positions throughout the solar system. "Sir," Commander Park said, "they're bringing everything. Every ship, every soldier. They want to end this war with one massive attack." Lee studied the tactical display. The alien fleet would reach Earth in 18 hours. It was indeed massive, enough firepower to destroy a planet. "They still don't understand," Lee said quietly. "Sir, they think we'll fight to defend Earth the way they would defend their home world. They think we'll gather all our forces here and try to stop them." Dr. Yoon looked up from his computer. "Captain, I've been analyzing their communications. General Vorthak believes that forcing us to defend Earth will make us fight like they fight. Organized, predictable, conventional." "He's wrong," Lee said. "Kim, Get me a connection to all human forces. Lieutenant Kim activated the communication system. Faces appeared on screens throughout the bridge. Ship captains, station commanders, marine sergeants, civilian leaders. All across the solar system, humans were listening. Friends, Lee began. The aliens are bringing their entire fleet to Earth. They think this means we have to defend Earth the way they would defend their home world. He paused, looking at the faces on his screens. They're wrong. We're not going to abandon our principles now. We're not going to fight their kind of war just because they're forcing a big battle. Sergeant Choi spoke up from Mars. What are your orders, Captain? I'm not giving orders, Sergeant. I'm giving you information and then you'll decide what to do with it. Lee gestured to a new display that Dr. Yoon had prepared. While the aliens have been fighting us here, Sang-woo has been studying their communications. We now know the location of every Catherian world, every military base, every supply depot in their empire. Excited murmurs came from the communication channels. The aliens have brought 1 million soldiers to attack Earth, Lee continued. But in doing so, they've left their entire empire defended by only a few thousand soldiers. Captain Nam laughed from her scout ship. You want us to attack their home while they attack ours? I want you to do whatever you think is best with the information I'm giving you, Lee said. But yes, that's what I would do. Commander Park activated a new set of displays. We've spent the last week learning how to fight the way humans fight best, individually, creatively, unpredictably. Now we have the biggest target of all, an entire empire that thinks it's safe because its army is somewhere else. Captain Bay spoke up from his cargo ship. Captain, with respect, we're talking about attacking an entire empire with cargo ships and scout boats. They might have brought their army here, but they still have planetary defenses, space stations, patrol ships. You're right, Lee admitted. We can't conquer their empire. But we don't need to conquer it. We just need to make them understand that they can't conquer ours. Dr. Yoon brought up a detailed map of Catherian space. Their empire is built around central control. Every world reports to regional command centers. Every command center reports to their home world. If we can disrupt their communications and command structure, we can cause chaos throughout their empire. Plus, added Sergeant Choi, we've learned a lot about their psychology. Individual Catherians don't know how to think for themselves. If we separate them from their command structure, many of them become confused and helpless. Lee nodded. Here's what I'm thinking. In 12 hours, when their fleet is too far from their empire to return quickly, we begin Operation Mirror. For every alien soldier attacking Earth, we create a problem in their empire. The communication channels buzzed with excitement as humans began to understand the scope of what Lee was proposing. Captain O, Lee said, addressing a mining crew chief. Your teams know how to move through asteroid fields better than anyone. Could you get a small force to their mining worlds? Absolutely, Captain. Those worlds will have minimal defenses if their fleet is here. Captain Kim So-young, Lee continued, speaking to a medical ship commander. Your hospital ship could appear to be a refugee vessel. Could you get close to their civilian populations? Yes, sir. And if their civilians are anything like ours, they might help us once they understand what's happening. Lee turned to Lieutenant Kim. What about their communications? Dr. Yoon and I have been working on that, sir. We can't shut down their entire network, but we can create enough interference to make coordination very difficult. This was the beauty of the human approach. Every person brought different skills, different ideas, different solutions. The aliens had one plan, overwhelming force. The humans had hundreds of plans, all working together. Remember, Lee said, we're not trying to destroy their empire. We're trying to save ours. Every action you take should give the aliens a reason to reconsider this war. Over the next 6 hours, human forces began to move. Captain Nam's scout ship slipped out of the solar system using routes that avoided the approaching alien fleet. Captain Bay's cargo ships, loaded with supplies and small teams of volunteers, followed different paths toward Catherian space. Sergeant Choi selected her best Marines to join the mission. We're not going to fight their armies, she told her volunteers. We're going to show their civilians what freedom looks like. Dr. Yoon worked frantically to prepare communication jammers and computer viruses designed specifically for Catherian technology. If we can make their empire deaf and blind for even a few hours, he explained, it will cause more confusion than a traditional military attack. On the alien command ship, General Vorthak was confident. His massive fleet was only 8 hours from Earth. Soon he would have the decisive battle he needed. "Admiral Nexus," he said, "prepare for orbital bombardment. Once we destroy their planet's defenses, their scattered forces will surrender." "Yes, General. Our scouts report that some human ships are fleeing the system. Should we pursue them? No, let them run. Fear will make them easier to capture later." But the human ships weren't running away in fear. They were positioning themselves for the largest coordinated attack in human history, not against the alien fleet, but against everything the aliens had left behind. Captain Lee stood on his bridge, watching Earth grow larger in the windows as the alien fleet approached. In 6 hours, the battle for Earth would begin, but in 12 hours, when Operation Mirror started, General Vorthak would learn that attacking a human world meant putting your entire empire at risk. The aliens had made their biggest mistake yet. They had assumed that humans would fight like Catherians, predictably, defensively, conventionally. Instead, they were about to discover that humans could turn the entire war upside down in a single day. General Vorthak wanted a decisive battle. He was about to get one, but not the kind he was expecting. The alien fleet reached Earth at dawn. General Vorthak stood in his command center, watching the blue planet grow larger on his screens. Finally, he would have the conventional battle he had been waiting for. "Begin the attack," he ordered. Thousands of alien ships moved forward in perfect formation, their weapons charged, ready to destroy Earth's orbital defenses. But something was wrong. Where were the human ships? Where was their desperate last stand? "Admiral Nexus," Vorthak said, "where are their forces?" "General, we detect only minimal resistance. A few orbital platforms, some patrol ships, but nothing like the fleet we expected." "Impossible. They must defend their home world." On Earth's surface, Captain Lee watched the alien fleet approach. His ship was hidden behind the moon with only a small force. Most of Earth's defenses were automated systems and volunteers. "Sir," Commander Park said. The aliens seemed confused. "They're slowing their attack." "Of course they are," Lee replied. "They prepared for a massive battle and we're not giving them one." Lee activated his communication system. "General Vorthak, this is Captain Lee. Do you have a moment to talk?" The alien general's face appeared on the screen, his 4 eyes showing confusion and anger. "Where are your forces?" "Where is your fleet?" "Busy," Lee said simply. "Busy with what?" "We are attacking your home world." "Yes, and while you're here, we're visiting yours." For the first time since the war began, General Vorthak looked uncertain. "What do you mean?" Lee smiled. "Computer, show the general what Operation Mirror looks like." The screen changed to show a map of Catherian space. Red warning lights were flashing on dozens of worlds. "What is this?" Vorthak demanded. "Your empire," Lee said, "or what's left of it. You brought 1 million soldiers to attack Earth. We sent 1 million objectives to visit your worlds." On the screen, reports began flowing in from across Catherian space. Captain Nam's voice. "This is Scout Team Alpha. We've reached the Catherian mining world of Nexar Prime. The orbital defenses were minimal. We've convinced the miners to stop working. Turns out they were slaves who never wanted to mine for the Empire anyway." Captain Bay's voice. "Cargo Team 7 reporting. We've reached the Catherian agricultural world of Vorthak Minor. Interesting name, General. We've shared human farming techniques with the local population. They're very interested in growing food for themselves instead of for your empire." Sergeant Choi's voice. "Marine Team 3 on Catherian Command Base 7, minimal resistance. Most of the base personnel surrendered when they realized we weren't going to kill them. Several asked if they could join us." Dr. Yoon's voice came through clearly. "Communication disruption successful across 17 Catherian worlds. Their local commanders can't contact each other or their home world. Many are declaring independence." General Vorthak stared at the reports in shock. "This is impossible. You cannot attack our entire empire with cargo ships and scout boats." "We're not attacking your empire," Lee explained patiently. "We're liberating it. You see, General, we've learned something interesting about your species. Individual Catherians are actually quite intelligent and creative when they're not being forced to follow orders." The reports continued. "Catherian Home Defense Fleet requesting permission to surrender. Their commander says he never wanted to conquer other worlds anyway. 17 Catherian worlds have declared independence from the Empire. They're asking for human assistance in establishing democratic governments. Catherian civilian populations on 12 worlds are celebrating in the streets. Apparently, they've been waiting for someone to free them from their own military. General Vorthak's face was changing colors. You turned our own people against us? We didn't turn them against you, Lee said. We just gave them the freedom to think for themselves. Turns out most of them never wanted to be part of an empire that conquered other worlds. Admiral Nexus stepped into view on the alien screen. General, we're receiving surrender requests from our own colonies. Our supply worlds are refusing to send us resources. Our command bases are asking to join the humans. This cannot be happening, Vorthak said. I'm afraid it is, Lee replied. You made a fundamental mistake, General. You assumed that your people supported this war because they followed orders. But following orders isn't the same as believing in what you're doing. War Prime Zelos appeared on the screen, looking defeated. General, I've been in contact with our home world. The population is celebrating. They're celebrating the end of the Empire. Lee leaned forward. General Vorthak, you have a choice. You can continue this attack on Earth. But even if you succeed, you no longer have an empire to return to. Your people have chosen freedom over conquest. Or, Vorthak asked quietly, or you can join them. We've learned a lot about your species over the past week. Catherians are intelligent, capable people when they're allowed to think independently. Your soldiers, who were separated from the command structure, showed remarkable creativity and adaptability. On the screen, Lee could see alien officers in the background talking among themselves. For the first time, they weren't waiting for orders. They were thinking, what are you proposing? Vorthak asked. A new kind of government for your worlds. Democracy instead of empire. Individual choice instead of forced obedience. Your people helping other species instead of conquering them. Commander Park stepped forward. General, we've been monitoring communications from your empire. Over 40 worlds have already asked to establish democratic governments with human assistance. Your own soldiers are volunteering to help with the transition, Dr. Yoon added. The psychological profiles we've developed suggest that most Catherians would be happier in a society where they could make their own choices. The empire structure was actually making your people miserable. General Vorthak was quiet for a long moment. Around him, his officers waited. But they weren't waiting for orders anymore. They were waiting to see what he would choose. Admiral Nexus, Vorthak said finally, what is your honest opinion? Nexus looked surprised to be asked for his opinion rather than given an order. Sir, I think the humans are right. I've never been happy in the military. I became an officer because it was expected, not because I wanted to. If I could choose, what would you choose? I would like to study science, sir. I've always been interested in astronomy, but the military needed officers, not scientists. War Prime Zello spoke up. Sir, if I may. I've never enjoyed commanding soldiers. I became a military leader because I was strong, but I would prefer to teach, perhaps to help young Catherians learn to think for themselves. General Vorthak looked around at his officers. For the first time, he was seeing them as individuals with their own dreams and desires, not just as parts of a military machine. Captain Lee, he said slowly, if we surrender, what happens to us? You help us rebuild, Lee said. Your people, our people working together to create something better than either of our societies had before. Your intelligence and our creativity, working toward the same goals instead of fighting each other. The communication was quiet for several minutes. Then General Vorthak spoke to his fleet. All Catherian forces, this is General Vorthak. I am ordering a complete surrender to human forces. We will begin immediate negotiations for the establishment of democratic governments throughout former Catherian space. He paused, then added something that surprised everyone, including himself. This is not a defeat. This is a liberation. For the first time in our history, every Catherian will be free to choose their own path. 6 months later, Captain Lee stood on the observation deck of the space station orbiting New Catheria, formerly the capital world of the Catherian Empire. Through the windows, he could see ships from dozens of different worlds working together on construction projects. Commander Park joined him. The latest reports, sir. 47 former Catherian worlds have established democratic governments. Crime rates are down, productivity is up, and satisfaction surveys show that the average Catherian is happier than they've been in generations. What about the former military officers? Admiral Nexus is heading the new Catherian Space Science Institute. War Prime Zelos is running schools that teach critical thinking and individual decision-making. Even General Vorthak is doing well. What's he doing? He's writing a book about military strategy, specifically about how traditional military thinking failed against human tactics. It's going to be required reading at the new Multi-Species Military Academy. Lee smiled. And what does he conclude? That the best way to win a war is to turn it into a peace. That having 1 million soldiers is less valuable than having 1 million people who believe in what they're fighting for. Dr. Yoon approached them, carrying a data pad full of reports. Captain, the integration is proceeding ahead of schedule. Catherian technology combined with human creativity is producing innovations we never imagined. We're developing faster ships, better communications, more efficient farms. Any problems? Only one. Some of the younger Catherians are so excited about making their own choices that they can't decide what they want to do. Former Admiral Nexus calls it freedom paralysis. Lee laughed. That's a good problem to have. As he watched the mixed crews of humans and Catherians working together, Lee reflected on the war that had changed everything. General Vorthak had brought 1 million soldiers to conquer humanity. In the end, humanity had given those